Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Are you dreaming of owning a home, owning land, or having something that your children and grandchildren can inherit? Then this video is for you. Coming up, we're going to be having, someone talk to us about real estate. So keep watching. On the channel today, I have an amazing guest, a real estate developer who's going to, give us all the tea and all the advice in regards to this topic. So, Jafar, welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm good. Tired, but good. So good to have you.
Thank
so
you.
Introduce yourself, tell them who you are, what you do, and anything you'd love them to know.
Okay, thank you again. My name is Jaffar Tonda. And in regards to what I do, I'm a real estate developer with a focus on incremental housing. So what that means, and I don't know if we'll delve into this later,
Yeah.
but what this means is I source land, I subdivide into more affordable lots, I sell it to individuals, and then I support some to build their homes incrementally. Yes.
Well, that's amazing.
Yes.
He's bringing some impact in this space, so it's good to have you. Before we get into it, let's break some ice. Yes. So do you prefer a city skyline view or a lakeside view, and why?
I would say I prefer a lakeside view. However, the caveat is I'd like a bit of a distance from the lake, because one of the things I've caught on over time is lake flies. Yeah, some of these properties close to the lake seem romantic until you realize that there's so many lake flies.
Yeah.
So it's always good to be a bit of a distance from the lake, kind of like, for example, Muyenga distance, looking at the lake, versus being closer.
So close.
Yeah, because then you have a challenge of lake flies. Yes.
And I've also seen places that are really close. There's that lake smell as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Ah, okay.
Yes.
Do you prefer to build from scratch or buy and move in?
I've done both. I would say I prefer to build and move in, because personally I love old houses. I like finding an old, should I say an old shell or old house and just leaving some items, leaving them that old feel, but then touching them up like with a bit of new. So yeah, that's my personal preference. However, for many people, they prefer to just do their own designs and build build from scratch.
My biggest fear of buying and moving in is that people already cut corners, so the house looks so nice on the outside.
Yeah.
You buy it and like the switch is like those ends, and you have to walk miles away to switch off the light. So there's that cafe I have.
Yeah. And it's valid. It has happened to me a number of times where I've bought properties, I've developed them for sale. This is typically properties in prime areas though, because it's more difficult to find empty lots in prime areas. So you buy like an old house and you do it up and you sell it. But yeah, when a seller is selling you the house, everything seems so bright. But then once you start the project, then you realize, you have to redo all the electricals, the plumbing. So maybe it's actually prudent for people to do some of those checks before, to hire those respective contractors to check a house thoroughly before you give your offer. That's if the seller allows you to do that.
I know. Like, take it or leave it. Don't go into.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
So as we talk about real estate and land, everyone, not everyone, but many people talk about land and real estate as a tool to build generational wealth and things like that.
Yes.
And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is building a family legacy. And of course, that cannot miss, So how is it a tool that we can use to kind of build that?
I believe that land, it's what's called illiquid in nature. It's not it's not as easy to liquidate. For example, if your grandma has broken her tooth, for some other instruments, for example, you need trust or cash, you will rush, obviously. You can't not help your grandmother with money to go to the dentist. So I believe the illiquid nature of real estate, whereby it's a bit more difficult to sell, helps you hold it, helps you hold your savings longer. And so I believe a mix is always good, where you have the real estate, to hold your savings, and not just for yourself, but also your beneficiaries. But yeah, I also believe you can also do a mix of more liquid things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
nice. Yeah, land
Yeah.
really, you cannot, problems, problems, when you have money, problems always come. That's
Yes.
when someone
Yeah.
needs money to borrow and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But with your land,
Yes.
it's there.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so how are you helping families kind of use land to grow, for themselves?
Yeah.
You've told us about what you do. So tell us more how you're supporting us.
So families usually buy land in our housing estates. Just to mention, we do land developments. So we do what people in Uganda call housing estates. Most people buy land as land banking, where they'll keep it in there. We help families in two ways. One, some families will buy land as a way of saving, like we mentioned earlier, to save for themselves long term and the next generation. Then others also will buy, especially like the younger couples, will buy land, and we'll support them develop the house plans, and we'll help them build incrementally, step by step. Our unique model comes to what I mentioned earlier of incremental housing, is we kind of like open up these accounts for customers. So people will deposit, and let's say if the money is enough to start to buy materials or start a foundation, then we'll help them start to build slowly as they get the money. So for many, that's for many young families, and even older people, because a number of people don't build their home until later. That is how we support them. We'll sell them the land, and then we'll help them build incrementally. Yes.
I want to understand more how that works. So
Yeah.
I come to you, you help me get a piece of land,
Yes.
I pay for it,
Yeah.
and then I want to build. So I have an account with you and I keep depositing some money.
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yeah. So for most, I guess, the times are changing. There's something called the whole wave of, let's say, millennials versus Gen Zs, and how the new trends is people want to wake up and have a house immediately. But the reality is, for most of us, our parents built slowly.
Yeah.
So we have to, looking at the theme of our backgrounds and culture, we are themed more towards step by step, brick by brick, mpola building. So now, at my company, Mugavu Properties, we support people through that. So it starts with the land, and even with the land in our housing estates, we'll give people payment plans. We have a project right now. We have different projects running. By recent one, we have one in Mokono, and for this, we're allowing people to pay over 12 months. So the plots are going for 18 million. People can deposit 2 million, then we give them 12 months to pay. So we give payment plans towards the land, and then afterwards, when people are ready to build, after they paid off those salary loans that they used to buy the land or whatever, whatever way they bought, then some of them will come to us, and we'll give them the free house plan. Then, like I mentioned, when they have money to start, we'll support them. And how they benefit, again, is economies of scale.
Yeah.
It's cheaper for us to support many people at once versus a person trying to do it by themselves. Yeah. So we support people in the entire 360 to own their home. We also support people in buying their genuine land, and that's quite key in our housing estates, as a land banking instrument for them to save money, and preserve wealth.
First, tell us more what land banking is. Some people may not, not everyone may be understanding. You want to understand, yes.
Yeah. So think about a bank. A bank is a store of value.
Okay.
So you could choose to store your value in different financial instruments. The typical options in Uganda, treasury bills and bonds. Some people are sophisticated enough to buy gold. Others play around with Bitcoin. So land is another avenue where a person can keep on buying pieces of land and kind of storing them. I always advise my customers to buy a file, and in the file, just whenever you buy a piece of land, put your title inside that file. And let's say if you start at the age of 25, by the time you get to 60, if you bought a piece of land every single year, then indeed you'll have built your file of titles. And sometimes people ask me, how do you buy a piece of land every year? And think about it, even if you had 3 million shillings, you can find a piece of land somewhere in Uganda for 3 million. So I always challenge people, buy a piece of land every year. You can find land even for 2.5, some land if it's, you get. So just buy it, even if it's Ndagano, and just keep piling up your file. If you start early enough, by the time you're older, you've really banked, you have your reserve of land as a store of value.
But then, in other words, buying land is not only for the rich, because people feel like, to own a piece of land, my friend, I need to first work until some you know, I get a lot of income. So you're showing us that you can buy land even from 3 million. So in your properties, what's the lowest amount of money that someone can start off with?
Just to add to that, what you just said is, remember, people don't have to buy land just as individuals. So even if you're Mufuna Mpola,
Yes.
you can still combine with other people, and you put together that 2.5 or 3 million to buy the land.
Yeah.
So you can just think of more of group. Now, in our regards, in terms of the cheapest piece of land we have right now, unfortunately, it's 18 million. And I'm not happy about that, because when I started this company, my intent was to make land more affordable, for young professionals. At the time when I started, I was about maybe 26, 27. And I looked at my friends and I was like, oh, how would my friends ever afford land? So I tried to make land affordable for them, but it is expensive, you know. Now the challenge we also have is it's expensive. So, but even when a person has, let's say, 10 million, they still want to buy a piece of land in Kololo, you know?
I know.
Yeah. So
Please, let's move a bit.
So my call is for people just it's okay to move a bit out.
Open-minded.
To be open-minded, move a bit out. The city keeps on growing and expanding, the population keeps growing. And as you keep on saving this land, that's even if it's out of town, later on you can sell those pieces and you buy closer if you want to be closer. Or who knows, those could be like the next Nigeria in a number of years to come.
I remember my husband telling me that his father, like, when they bought in Komamoga, it was like far. Like, in fact, they didn't want.
Yeah.
But now it's literally in the city, you know.
Yes, it's very prime.
So I think it's easier when you are buying land for future, like for your children. But the mentality of people right now is, I want land for now, now, then that limits you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reality. It's human nature. But people just need to, many people, most of my customers are forward looking. But so in summary, I'm not happy about the prices, but it is what it is. So and it's better people buy now, because things will
only increase.
It will increase.
When I look at it, 18 million is not so bad. That's like Mukono.
Yes, but I'm not. To be honest, I'm not happy about 18 million, because again, if you read the figures and you look at how much the typical person earns, then you're gonna very few people earn above 1 million shillings.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the options for people is to keep on moving further out, or to keep praying that our government enacts the Greater Kampala railway system. Because imagine a situation whereby, let's say, the trains can go all the way to Luwero, and you can, just like many cities abroad, you can park your car at the train station in Luwero, hop onto the train and come into the city. Same thing, I mean, I know they've opened up a train in Mukono, but imagine the train went to Lugazi, imagine it went to Zirowe. That would help unlock land and then hence make it more affordable.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things which some of us keep dreaming of, that they happen, you know, sooner than later.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you've talked about helping people from, like, kind of a 360 situation.
Yeah.
I know many people, especially in the diaspora, suffer where you go, you chape, you do your work, you keep sending some money, and you come back after a few years, nothing.
Yeah.
You know, tell us more about that.
Well, it's unfortunate that sometimes happens. We have many customers in the diaspora, and they like our brand because of our honesty. However, I tell people that there are ways to mitigate those risks. I tell people to hire professionals, you know, to hire lawyers, you know, or trusted surveyors. Surveyors also usually very good. Go for the registered surveyors, not any person, you know, who calls himself a surveyor. So I feel like if you do the right things, like if, you know, which maybe, I don't know if we might discuss them later, then you can avoid that some of those risks. Yeah,
tell us more about those risks that we can avoid, like how we can avoid them.
Yes. So a person can do a team. So get that trusted relative of yours, and then hire professionals to support you as well. So get a registered surveyor, get a lawyer, and then get their references, you know, of people who they've served. Do simple things like Google searches nowadays. Is, you know, there's the internet. You can do background checks on them. So once you build a good team through, you know, good referrals that you may have, then you can work with that team to help you check. But things get more detailed than that, whereby there are things you can do more on the ground. You know, for the piece of land you want to buy, the basic things like finding out, who's the LC1, you know, the genuine LC1, not any. Because sometimes you'll find some people, let's say, serving on the committee and they still call themselves the chairperson, you know?
Yeah.
So get an LC1 system, ask them what's on the ground. Now for us at our scale, obviously we have to be a bit more careful. So for us, we'll make time, even I am involved in that process of going to ask the neighbors, you know? So ask the neighbors, or is this the owner of the land? One of the steps though that many people miss is to get surveyors to open up boundaries. Because usually, sometimes you might find there's title problems, you know, whereby maybe the land being bought encroaches on another person. So again, if you get a certified, a reputable surveyor, they can help you be able to check some of those things. The final thing which we do because of our scale and the higher risk is whenever we're buying land, is it Baganda says it Kaska Akanyewa or something. Usually we'll tell the person that we want to first take possession. So we are more than comfortable, let's say, paying them a small deposit, and we'll do things like going and slashing the land first.
To see if there's any...
Yeah. Or we'll get graders first. And you always have things come up, you know. So for us, we go that extra mile because of when if people I guess can afford to do that. You can afford to get people to first slash a piece of land before you pay.
You see if anyone comes running after you, you know. Okay.
Yeah, so the extra checks beyond getting a lawyer to do checks, and I think it's important to take those extra steps.
Ground.
Yeah, on the ground.
Yeah. And I know you've just shared some of those mistakes. Are there other mistakes that we make, especially when it comes to land purchase? And because many people have fallen through all those scams, you know, buying rogue titles that are not even there. What mistakes do people make when they're buying land, or even strategically choosing that this is the land I should buy?
One of the things which I'm facing, because I've been doing this for about 17 years, but something that's haunting me now, that's happening, is you buy a piece of land and then 10 years later, in our case, we have subdivided, we have sold the land to people. 10 years later, someone is coming and saying, oh, my grandmother owned a chivanja here, and then they go to land registries and they put caveats on the land. So that's something interesting I'm finding. Now, legally in Uganda, if you are a bona fide purchaser, and when you bought, you did a search, you did some due diligence, there was no problem. Ideally, the law should protect you. However, you'll find that some registrars will still go ahead and slap caveats on the land, and you have to go through that process of defending yourself. So unfortunately, I think how a person can avoid that risk is maybe doing deeper checks with the history of the land, asking the neighbors a bit more that, guys, is there any claim like that may come up, you know? Because I've found that nowadays things are going beyond just, you know, searching for land. Because unfortunately, some registrars will just slap caveats on land for any, you know, any reason a person comes up with, including their great-grandfather. You know, someone finds a document in the file and takes it and puts a caveat on your land. So that's a key risk. Some of the other checks, I think I've mentioned them, getting a good team of professionals to help you search beyond lawyers. You know, many people get comfort with using just lawyers, but no. I find actually surveyors a bit more rigorous than lawyers in checking for all these things. So yeah, is there anything I've missed in your question?
Yeah, the mistakes, I don't know if we've covered all of them.
Yeah.
What about strategically choosing a piece of property?
Oh, okay.
Is it important? Because now someone can say, I want to own land. Then they just go in PG randomly. You know, are there some things that we have to think about?
PG is actually very prime right now.
Okay, I just mentioned this week, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. Well, most of this information, real estate, they say it's location. So there are some fundamentals. Like, okay, for me, I always look at what is the distance from the main road. So for all of our projects, none of them is more than about 3 kilometers from the main road. Given the situation of our roads, they get spots. You want the easy access, utilities. What's the utility plans? Like things like water, power. But then a lot of this information is actually, I guess, UNRWA was now absorbed by Ministry of Works, but a lot of this information used to be posted by UNRWA about their plans for road development. So it's always good to actually look into these reports, look into the reports of Greater Kampala. How is Greater Kampala expanding, you know? So now for us, we typically, for our peri-urban projects, peri-urban is when you start to move out of urban centers like Kampala. We do a radius of about 30 kilometers from the CBD. So usually we'll stick to that, and we'll move on the outskirts, you know, to make it a bit more affordable. But then we hardly ever go beyond that. So look at the radius from a major city, you know, whether it's Kampala or Mbara, and try and work within that radius, and also look at the distance from the main road. So I think those are typical things. Just read the newspapers, see what's happening.
Yeah,
Usually the newspapers can tell you, where the action is happening. The other thing though, sometimes it helps to go to a place before it becomes hot. One of the reasons why I'm developing in Mukono right now is, I don't know if you guys are, you've read in the news how an expressway is supposed to be built. Government is between Mukono and Kampala. Government is, I think, seeking funds to compensate people along that stretch. But now, that's the reason why, for example, I've gone there.
Yeah.
Because I know once that expressway is completed, then the area will become more valuable. So it's always interesting to look at such trends and to go up to a place and invest before such developments happen.
Yeah, because you're at a better advantage when you go before than after.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. So I've been doing some research on some of your properties, and from what I hear, they are well organized. They look nice, the trees and everything. Can you tell us more about your properties and what makes them unique? And like now, like the Mukono property that you're developing. Yeah.
So what makes us unique really is our focus on sustainability. So when land developers, real estate developers are doing projects, one of the things that used to be a pain point for me is we get graders and we just remove all the vegetation. So for many projects, that is the reality.
Yeah.
So I guess I was always, I've always been a tree hugger and I guess a student of ecology. The reality is the moment you disrupt the ecology of a place, there's so many animals that are scattering, snakes, beetles, whatever, So one of the things I've done is for every single project, I usually work hand in hand with NFA actually, and I encourage other developers to do the same.
Yeah.
NFA is more than happy to support us, to sell us seedlings at good prices, and we can go and reforest the estates. So I always plant very many trees along the roads. And I do a mix of indigenous trees and fruit trees. My vision is in the future, people's kids can be walking, and it's happening now, and get a guava or a mango or whatever. So I would say what makes me different is one, the focus on sustainability. I do not develop in wetlands. I always turn them into like empty spaces, community parks or whatever. There's a small metrics like the size of the roads, whereas we do wider roads than any other land developer. For many, they'll do these estates where one person has to park as
you wait a bit. Stuff is so annoying.
Yeah, and the reason why developers do that is they're trying to save money because maximize. The wider the roads you do, then you're
losing land.
Yeah, you're losing. So for us, the typical minimum standard is about 8 meters. We do 8 to 10, even more in some projects. Well, you'll find the typical land developer will do 6-meter roads, maximum 7. So we give a bit of more space. The other thing we do, like I mentioned, is free house plans for every single customer.
Nice.
We have been able to put together different house plans over the years in partnership with our architects, from 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom houses to even if a person wants flats, Usually we just give it as a bonus to whoever wants to build. And I guess the final hallmark, which I would say we have, is just honesty, We've built a reputation of being honest people. So even as these challenges come up, like I mentioned earlier, whereby people come up years later with all kinds of claims, we're developers who just take that on behalf of our customers and will fight for them. Versus, I don't know if many other developers would do that. They'll be like, you know what, I sold you the land. Go sort yourself. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's good.
Yeah.
And when you talk about being able to allow maybe deposits and things like that, have you faced issues where if I can't pay, how do you deal with me? Because that's also a fear that I may start and then things go south, you know? How do you manage that?
Yeah. So what we usually do is, for example, this current project I'll give you an example of the Mukono one, where it's called Acacia Hilltop Estate. The plots are going for 18 million. We're running a promotion where people pay 2 million and then we put them on a payment plan. So just some quick math, 18 minus 2 is 16. So if it's 16, the balance, then you divide by 12. Let's say if a person is supposed to pay 1.5 or whatever per month. Let's say they have agreed to a minimum monthly payment of about 1 million. So we usually we'll put all that under contract. Now, if a person misses a payment over a number of months, obviously we'll dialogue with them, and then it gives us a sense that, hey, this person is struggling. So the contract allows us to exit a person if they're defaulted. And usually we'll get another buyer and we'll refund them their money, less a small penalty, obviously, for transaction cost. That's how we manage all that. Like it's completely okay for a person to struggle along that way. We usually just refund them their money, less a penalty. And because of the minimum monthly payments, we're able to see when a person is starting to
struggle.
Yeah. But I would say over the past 17 years I've been doing this, I've not had to exit more than maybe 1 or 2 people. Yeah, I feel like if you work with people when they have challenges, just give them a bit of more time. People usually want to get that land. They usually want to get that house, you know? Yeah, so we've not had issues. We're patient and, you know, keep on communicating with our customers as they face challenges. Yeah.
That's amazing. Are there some couples you have helped, some examples of people you have, you know, brought from the start to the end and they're excited? Give us some of those testimonies.
Yeah, actually, that's some of the highlights of my work is that I always like meeting the, you know, like the new couples. We're really excited to save and invest. And I've supported some. I could give you an example of maybe just a few years ago. I like, you know, I get impressed. I sometimes meet these couples, I mean, even before they buy a car, you know, they are looking at buying land or, you know, they want to start building. Usually it's the women who are pushing. I don't know what's up with the men, but
the men sometimes are not focused. We have to help them.
Usually it's the women who push. In fact, it just reminds me just recently. I was quite impressed. Met this lady. She was really pushed. Met me. She took a taxi to meet me. And this was a piece of land which was actually, you know, on the higher side. The piece of land was 36 million. But yeah, she deposited 5 billion. She dragged her husband along. He wasn't so happy, keen. But he was also keen. And so they've been depositing, you know, and they're almost finishing the payments, and they already have taken on their free house plans, and they already have their plans to construct. But I guess if I'm being honest about this, and you know, maybe this is a call to the you know, don't you mean talk to the boy child? I see more of the push coming from the women than the boy child. Yeah.
But that's why we need to help. We're helpers. We're here to help and support the men, because sometimes women are more focused. Maybe sometimes it's a fear of, you know, we need to plan quickly and, you know, get things in order. And sometimes the men are, things are okay. But that's a good thing. Yeah. So from your work, you've seen that the women are more into land purchase.
They tend to be more proactive. They tend to push their men, for those who are married, their men more to start the process. Men also sometimes, I feel like, have this thing of, I want to do a deal and come and build.
Yes, at once.
Yeah, at once. Yeah. Also that whole long-term mindset, whereby a typical lady might be like, oh, you know what, it's okay, let's buy this piece of land out of town, it will grow, let's build slowly. Well, you know, that whole thing, I guess that whole thing of thinking, guys have this thing where they think they're going to do a deal, you know, and be able to build at once, or some of them want to, maybe guys want to buy a nice car or whatever, you know. So I feel like one of the value of having a good partner, you know, is just that pushing in the direction to develop and secure the family. So yeah, that's something I've seen over time. Yeah.
Okay. And there are some myths when it comes to owning land that people have taken on that may not be true about land.
Well, lately I'm seeing a lot of buzz about land being like on Twitter, you know, especially. There's some people who are pushing that, oh no, do treasury bills.
Yeah.
If you build rentals, you know, you make less money than treasury bills.
Yeah.
And you know, some of us who have been in the industry are quiet about it, you know, but we see these things.
Why are you quiet?
Yeah. Well, you don't want to go into Twitter wars with some of these guys, you know, who are pushing things like treasury bills and bonds so much. But what they're not telling people is, you know, there's in finance theory. My background is mostly like in accounting and finance. Yeah. There's something called the portfolio theory. And investment is about doing a mix, you know. So it's always, so from what I believe in, it's do a mix, like we mentioned earlier, do a mix of the real estate and also these instruments like treasury bills and bonds, versus bashing real estate so much. Because the reality is, we have to look at our history as a country. We have to look at the region. We have to look at some of our neighbors. And some of these other investments have risks that come with them, you know. Things like inflation risk and, you know, currency risk. So how you hedge all that if for example things were to happen, the country blows up at once. Real estate has shown the ability to hold value longer. The sales might slow down during a disrupted time, but when things pick up back again, the land will still be there. I mean, in Uganda, our government still has records of land from from back in the day. So it's always good to do a mix of all the instruments, and it gets a bit more technical depending on your age and your need for like regular and fixed income. So that usually it's like the younger you are, it's more prudent to own more illiquid investments like real estate and do a smaller mix of fixed income securities like treasury bills and bonds. But as you get older, then there you have a bigger need for liquidity. Then you start to now slide off and maybe sell some of the real estate and push more on fixed income because maybe then you have less ability to work or whatever, So it gets a bit technical, but in summary, it's always good for people to do a mix.
That's true. My financial advisor always says, don't have all your investment in one financial, thing. Like for you, everything is in commodities or everything, always have that blend because it helps. When the land can't serve you in this place, it will serve you later. And I really love that. Okay, so there'll be people out there like, because people always think, I'll start owning land when I get married. Are the single people supposed to own land or what? Or is it only for those who have families?
Well, I know for me, in my case, I felt like I got married when I felt a bit more stable. So at the time, I already had some land. So I felt like then I was ready to take on the responsibility on looking after someone else's daughter. Because I was like, even if something happened to me, to my family, they can always go and pitch a tent.
In the land that you own.
The land that I own, even if haven't yet built. So I would encourage younger people, men, women, to start saving earlier. If I was, I guess, in a traditional setting, I mean, I don't have any daughters yet, but if I had a daughter, it's one of the things I'd look at if someone was, coming to ask for my daughter. I would be impressed by a young man who's already thought about such things. So yeah, I'd like to encourage young people. Like I see, again, not to talk bad on our consumerism culture, but things like people doing much bigger events, bigger weddings, and sometimes I wish more of that money could be channeled towards as fundraising for a house or cement. When people are getting married,
things that are more long term.
Versus these wedding bashes. Then there's also a culture I see among some young women who want to land that next NBA basketballer,
who has it all. No struggle.
Was it all? But the reality is, I mean, how many NBA basketballers are there, So I like to encourage young women to also start saving early versus just waiting for some don who's going to like, so it's good to always be secure. For women, sometimes it's the fear of now you'll be as if financially independent, the men may not come, they will fear you. But anyway, so where are the hot zones right now? If someone said, you know what, Jafar, I want to get some land, just give me that tip, where are the hot zones where I can buy? I would say, I've been looking at Zero Way Road. I know if you go past Gayaza is expensive. If you move further out, Namulonge, Bosukuma, but then I could say places like Chiwenda. I believe Chiwenda, Bosika, a place called Vumba. So anywhere along that road is quite hot. There's so many things creeping up on that road. Things like Bosika Adventure Park, great outdoors. Theron, there's Namulonge Golf Club. So it's a road which I encourage people to look at. Then, like I mentioned earlier, for me, Mukono, because of the Mukono Expressway, and also they put a train. The train is now running from Mukono to Kampala. There's the Namamve Belt, all that industrial area, where people who are working there, instead of commuting into Kampala, they're starting to buy land and build their homes on that Mukono side. So I could say that's quite interesting. Then also, you mentioned PG earlier. PG. So to be honest, there's also other hot places I know, even out of Kampala. I'm always seeing listings coming up in places like Mbara, in Fort Portal. So in terms of hot, I would say as long as any piece of land meets the fundamentals, whereby its location is good, it's has some infrastructure, it's proximate. From where I was looking at the distance from a main road, I would always say the most critical thing beyond that is to make sure it's genuine land and just buy it. Buy it, but just after you buy it, make sure you secure it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's also something we talk about of how can someone secure their land after they've purchased it.
Yeah.
For the land bankers especially who buy land and just
run away and just chill it.
Yeah. You don't want a situation whereby, for example, you bought in a housing estate, then someone else goes and builds in your piece of land by mistake.
Crosses, some boosting, yeah.
Not just crosses, builds in your land by mistake because they didn't know. They forgot where their plot was. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you guys have like those demarcations, plot one, what?
Now for us, since we one of the things that actually makes us different is we keep on overseeing the land even after we have sold, and we're always in touch with customers when such things happen. But for most land purchasers, they'll buy, then they'll leave. Then if it's a big estate with so many plots, you might forget genuinely where your plot is if you don't use a surveyor before to show you again. So I encourage people to do things like you can plant fruit trees or any kinds of trees on your plot to secure it. You could fence it off using cheaper materials like the wooden poles, and you plant luconi around it. So that's some of the things that I guess people can do to secure their land if they're not yet ready to start construction. But whatever you do, don't buy land and just walk away and leave it green, undeveloped. You might face challenges, and it becomes more difficult to evict someone after
their whole building and whole. But that may be like for they have built a very nice house and stuff like that. Do you have those challenges with estates of squatters? People just randomly just staying there and it becomes their home.
And that's one of the advantages of people buying land in housing estates. Usually you don't have a squatter problem. Okay. The squatter problem will be a prior thing which the land developer will have sorted out before. Okay. Yeah, so the squatter issue usually comes for people who buy land out of housing estates, and it's there, it's independent, there's no one looking at it, and it takes so long before you go there. As like we hinted on earlier, I encourage people to plant trees. You can plant trees like eucalyptus or whatever. You can plant, food if possible, if it's economically makes sense for you to put a losuku. Yeah, so just do something, do a project to utilize the land. If you want to be really, really passive, plant pine or eucalyptus or mangoes, jackfruit, whatever. But don't buy land and just leave it bare. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen a trend where you go into estates and the houses are a certain level. Even now you start to fear. Me was bought in this estate. Will I manage this place? Yeah. Do they have like rules? Do you have like rules like now if you're going to put your house here, it should at least meet this kind of standard? Is there a thing like that?
I've done some projects where it was themed from the beginning that people should follow a particular plan just for uniformity. That was when I was starting out, when I was maybe like 28, 29. But I found that people like to be unique and have different needs and do their own thing. So for us, our requirements are that whatever you want to build, you get building approvals. So the assumption is that the city planners, of all these different areas, would not approve like some crazy structure in front of a person, Although it happens sometimes because there's some project I did at Tebe Road with a lake view, and then I have one of the customers built like a 3-level house, hence blocking the view of the people or the person.
I can no longer see.
Yeah, so this is life and such things happen. But we don't restrict people. Our ask is just that they follow the laws of Uganda and get planned approvals. Maybe people can talk to the LC if someone is doing something that's way off, and the LC can try and engage. I don't know.
But then, like what I'm saying is, the houses are like top. Now you who has bought land in this maybe acacia and you want to build like a bungalow, you feel like you'll not meet the standard because everyone's house is like. So
but I mean, it's a whole thing of fakumudalago. Why would you care about what your neighbor is building? Yeah, that person could be, Everyone has different means and also different preferences. Personally, I like to live in smaller houses. I don't dream of being in a big mansion.
So no pressure.
Yeah, so that encourage people to be confident. Look at your means and live within your means, and don't worry about the Joneses. Trust me, the Joneses also have their own their own problems, which you may not be able to see when you drive past their house.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've talked about, I know about Acacia. What other properties or places do you have if someone wants to buy land where they can, see how to fit in? And also, do you only sell what you are developing, or if I need support with buying land, for example, in a different location, would you help me with that? Okay,
so some of our ongoing projects, we have something in Matuga. We have the various estates along Gayaza Road, from Nakasaja to Kasenene, and we have one in Chiwenda. Oh my goodness, there's so many. One actually in Kira Buate. So as long as people reach out to us, we can just tell them the array of options we have. We have Gayaza Majije behind UGX as well. So one of the things we considered as a company was people coming to us, and if we don't have something in an area they have, we'll consider being able to partner with our land developers to sell them the land. So that's something actually under Mugavu Properties, which we've been considering. However, we've found that it helps if we have done the project ourselves from the start and done the due diligence ourselves. Because again, we're finding over time that we have people coming back 10 years later and making claims, So our fear is, to what extent did that partner developer of ours, to what extent did they do those checks before they bought that land and parceled it up and did titles? So yeah, we've chosen to just stick to our own projects rather than just branching out and connecting people to others, because we retain the risk.
You have more control.
Yeah, we have that risk whereby when we sell you land, if we introduce someone else and you get cheated, you come back to us and the risk will be on us. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing, guys. Please do not say owning land is only for the filthy rich. Even you can start. And I love the idea of you can come together with your friends and now own something. If the 18 million is a bit much, when you have like 5 people, it actually even reduces. So guys, please don't sleep on the job. Get land and just have your file, So I'm going to tell my husband to make sure. Now I'm going to push also. We need one in one of these estates. Okay. Any advice, final advice for people who want to buy land? Anything you think you can tell them?
My advice, and I guess my passion goes more towards because I guess for me now, I'm now in the 4th floor.
Yeah.
But as once young and cool, as once like in my 20s, yeah, I'm even starting to gray, Start now.
Yeah.
Sometimes I step out into, not to hate on people who party, but sometimes I step out to these cool bars and I see the price list of the drinks. And some of them are called it Glenvich and whatever, and you look at the price, it's 500,000,
You can start.
Yeah,
so can deposit on land.
So the reality is, honestly, I feel like there's and one of the things I like about your channel actually is you share such passionate messages to people. So I'd like to encourage young people that please, you'll get to the 4th floor as well, just like we have. I was cool as well at some point. I'm not anymore. So start saving now while you still have much more energy. Yeah.
And then for the couples?
For the couples, it's everyone has their unique situation. My advice is for couples, get a partner who's financially prudent. And that's one of the things which they told us in my premarital counseling. They talked about finances. And for me, in looking for a partner, I actually looked out for that. I looked out for a person who was very good with money, who how you mentioned that sometimes men are scared of women who they can't handle.
They can't handle. They're like, this one is going to
Yeah, so I sought out someone who I knew had simple needs, not like crazy things which
not a slay queen.
Yeah. So please choose your partners carefully, because it can make and break you financially.
That's true.
Yeah.
Amazing. Guys, you've had it all. Please contact Mugavu Properties. They will support you on the journey of, buying land, protecting it, getting you a nice environment, because that's very important. Many times you buy a place somewhere and maybe the noise, or it's no longer, like you can't stay there,
Yes.
So, and actually you can talk a bit about that. I heard somewhere that, you have some sort of systems in these estates that actually support people to live peacefully. I've bought my home.
I can see you did research. I can see you did research about that.
Yeah, I bought my home. I have built in this, but it's not giving me joy because of the surrounding.
Yeah.
Actually, you can talk about that before we conclude.
Okay. So everyone who buys land in our estates, not for all of them, but for some of them, we put everyone under a housing association, complete with the constitution. So we have some estates whereby some people like Mateka, and in that constitution, we people, it's like a small LC system. People appoint a leader, in that estate. And so some of the regulations will stipulate things like no noise pollution, to be sensitive to people of some faiths like Muslims. Some of them say, hey, no having pigs like in the estate.
Oh, is that your farm?
Yeah, don't know your pig farm. So the people in there are able to self-govern. And so that helps. For example, if a person is having a party and it's shooting above what the members have agreed, then they have a mechanism where they can just self-correct, but then we have some other estates, I guess, where people are like, hi, Jafar, what, your projects have too much mateka for us to want to just do our own thing. So we also have those. Yeah. One of the things which I wanted us to talk about though is we have recently rebranded from Synergy Properties to Mugavu Properties. And that's something I wanted to also highlight. Yeah. So recently we rebranded to Mugavu Properties from Synergy. We held the Synergy name for a very long time until I realized that some brokers were having challenges pronouncing Synergy. It tends to be more of a Western thing.
English.
Yeah. So we chose to localize, And then there's a beautiful project I did in Chiwenda called Mugavu Estate. And I noticed after that everyone started calling, many people started calling Mugavu, So brokers started calling me Mugavu. Yeah. And then I named the project Mugavu because it had a bunch of Mugavu trees. So I found it was a name that people could identify with. I did more research on the tree. It's medicinal, it has strong roots, it's a hardwood tree. So we chose to rebrand recently, and so going forward, we are called Mugavu Properties. Yes.
That's amazing. Okay, so where can people find you?
So our website, we have a website, it's mugavuproperties.com. Then our sales office is, we're tenants of a company called Rigas that has serviced offices at Aha Towers, that's 4th floor. So that's where really we are. But for me, most of the time I'll be in the field. I'll be in the field looking for land somewhere, interfacing with customers. But I have a support team that I work with. That's at the main office, and then we're also on all socials: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you read to them a number? Some people may not be website. They're like, I want to call you tomorrow.
Yes. So our company number is 0751 523 327. Yes.
Guys, you cannot say I did not plug you because this is amazing, for families. Let's build generational wealth. Let's be more informed, and support our children. The truth is, I keep telling people that your children, all of us, let's say we are in the system, the one who has parents who have planned for them are starting off much better, than those who have not. So please don't be those parents, So I hope you've enjoyed this interview. Please look into land, look into real estate, and start planning for your futures better. My name is Lisa Kusima. As always, I'm here to inspire.